The following podcast contains strong language and alternative facts. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Heel Podcast. Over the airwaves and under the influence, we are Turning Heel.
Let's get this shindig started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Turning Heel podcast. With me, the Griz. And with me this week, it's Robert.
Hello, ladies.
Oh my god, another week of wrestling. Considering the last episode, the title was Too Much Wrestling, and I feel like we're just right back on that horse once again.
Yep. That horse is being fucking rode into the ground.
I don't even think it has, it doesn't have knees anymore. It's just slowly getting smaller and shorter and fucking by the...
If we ride it once more, I think it's just going to be glue.
Yeah, it was pretty much there already. Like, I'm going to imagine probably by the end of this week, it probably will just be dragging itself along by its fucking teeth. Yeah, that did make me cringe. Like, imagine it would have. Okay, so we promised that in the last episode, and we're bringing it to you here today. We are going to cover iMPACT Wrestling's Turning Point pay-per-view from Saturday night, and I'm not going to lie, after I watched it, I was very glad I did, because we played with the idea of kind of just skipping this one, thinking, oh, it's an iMPACT Plus special, nothing's going to happen. Nope. No, a lot fucking happened on this show. Debuts, title matches, some outcomes more surprising than others. But also, because we planned to record this on Tuesday, but life gets in the way sometimes, so now we're recording this on Thursday. I also got the time to watch Talking Shop Mania 2, and because I reviewed the first one, we may as well do the second one as well, baby.
Oh no.
The second worst pay-per-view ever. So I did take like unintentionally extensive notes because there was just lots of weird shit going on. But we start off the show with Clint Bobsky, which was Jericho, clearly in disguise. He sort of runs down the card, including the main event, which is the ball for ball match with Six Ferguson and Chad Too Bad. Then, like, as soon as he gets off mic, he's like, this fucking sucks. They picked me up in an Uber, but not only just an Uber, a group Uber. And this is shit. Like, and then he starts to storm off and he starts demanding another Uber home. Then Carl and Rocky Romero start talking about how does Gallows keep talking us into this sort of crap. And then so they go looking for Gallows, and he pops up in the Hardy-style hologram saying, oh no, I'm staying inside for this one. And then they barge into his room. Gallows and his wife are in bed with a male sex doll between them. And for the rest of the show, Gallows does the commentary as a hologram. So every time they cut back to the announce desk, Gallows is just there as a blue hologram. So then they start building up to the matches, including the main event, where Six Ferguson arrives and he gets attacked by a weird-looking faction. You know, someone that you might kind of see, kind of similar to a faction that's kind of about today. They're all in black. They have these crazy masks on. Like, one of them has a paper plate for a face.
I see.
No, they paint they're not a faction. There's only two of them. I'm offended. Oh yeah, no, they're called fuck's sake, retribution.
Retribution.
Retribution. Poop. But for half the pay-per-view, I thought they were saying retribution, and it was like, well, like none of them have like tits, so. And then I realized, oh, poop. That comes up later. So we get into the first match of the evening as Rapid Delivery Rory Fox comes out. He was the one that was on the last pay-per-view talking about that time that Zack Ryder ripped his pants off on ECW. And he says, no, this time I am going to indulge this, so bask in my package. So he pulls his gear down and hello, Belda. So he pulls his gear down and he starts stoating about in one of those mankinis. So Myers and Swoggle come out, and this is where Rory says, I have some backup, and brings out Rim Job. Rim Job.
I take it he's one of the faction dudes.
No, he's just Rory Fox's buddy.
All
so
right, I thought it was a play on like one of the Retribution names.
Yeah, they do mention the names a bit later. I think one of them is Corn of the Cob, but Rim Job is just he's a dude that comes out in like a kimchi style mask, the handler of Kamala, and oh my god, cats! Oh wait, that's an actual human cat. So he comes out also in a. Well, I put tighty blackie because it's not tighty whitey. So, but also in the same kind of mankini as Rory Fox. So we actually get to a match, and like they start actually having somewhat of a match, which is surprising considering there's two people wrestling in mankinis. It doesn't take too long though. There was a part in commentary where the Rory Fox goes off the ropes and Myers does that thing where he sends a wrestler off the ropes, then chases him to the ropes so that as soon as they bounce off the ropes, Myers is behind them, and then they do a clothesline. And on commentary, I think it was Gallows said, "This is the second take because the first time Rory Fox fell out the ring and landed on his face."
Fucking hell.
So. Hornswoggle gets the tadpole splash on Rim Job, and it's over. Then Rory and his partner Rim Job, they start to embrace. It's like, no, you done well. And then, as they shouted on commentary, naked belly to belly. Could you imagine all those those big guts and ball sacks and penises rubbing against each other? They really love their ball jokes. And then Rory Fox just runs away and then runs around the entire house, comes back with a leash, and then he starts to run at the ring and then remembers fuck. So he turns around, runs back again, then comes back out the entrance with its theme music and all playing again, and then just kind of ties up Rim Job and takes him away. Then Rocky Romero is interviewing some guy called Laser. And Gregory Helm shows up saying, I'm an investigative reporter, and now I'm an investigator detective because there's been a murder here. And they're like, really? What happened? And he's like, well, we found a body. And Romero's like, where? And Helms just goes, right there, and points at their feet. And then there's just this dead guy lying on the floor. And they're like, oh, where did that come from? So this is an ongoing thing throughout the rest of the show. But
it's almost like Among Us.
I think that might have been slightly the reference. Without the coloured shirts and it going on too long like it did in Being the Light this week. Did you see Being the Light?
Half of it.
Half of it. Oh, maybe you might have just missed that then.
I think I seen up to the bit where where Sammy was ribbing the Bucks about breaking the BT belt.
Yeah, it was just after that.
Yeah.
So like they actually play a full-on game of Among Us with like 8 members of the roster all in coloured shirts and all that.
Oh, I need to watch that.
but I felt like it just went a bit too long, and it kind of lost its charm quite quickly.
I'm daft about Among Us now. I'm watching like all sorts of videos. I watched one with it was on Jessamine Duke's YouTube channel, and it's her playing Ronda Rousey. It's fucking hilarious. I miss Ronda.
God, so like I feel like she was on the cusp of coming back, and obviously vid happened, and I don't think she was really up for that. But what we'll do is we'll get into our next match as Frankie Coverdale takes on, you know him, you love him, if you've ever seen 5-Star Wrestling, Freight Train, woo woo.
Nope.
Do you know anything about Freight Train? No.
No.
Boy, do you have some homework.
Train rolling down the line.
No, actually, the one time he appeared in PCW, he came out to Kylie Minogue's Locomotion.
Okay, so he's an idiot.
Oh, yes. I genuinely think that there's something wrong with Freight Train. I think he's quite dim in the head. Like, just to say it nicely, needless to say, this was a quick squash match for Freight Train. That's like his gimmick. Like, he was part of $5 Wrestling of all these air quote wrestlers that are fucking horrendous. Which is something we really need to take a look at sometime. Freight Train was their first $5 champion, and he got kind of over for a little while on that. But now I'm starting to think that, like, because he came out, he looked gigantic. He was always been like quite a big dude, but I don't think he's really wrestling anymore. So him getting brought out for this, I think it's like, it's just a quick nod because you watch the match. It was there was the chops where it was like, literally it was like that was a chop, and then he's like, so Freight Train comes out. He says, talking shop, you left up now. And then his manager, who was called Paul Lehman, kind of nudges him. So Freight Train says the same sentence again, but he's like, talking shop, you fucked up now. And so Gallows and the boys found that hilarious. There was the chops and then combo fists. Coverdale's down, and there was the lethal stomps, and I'm very much hamming it up when I'm saying lethal here. And then Freight Train hits his signature finisher, the Freight Train Smash, where he runs at you with his elbow out, and the wrestler takes a bump, and it was bad. I as I say, like, we need to try and find some Freight Train matches for you to watch later.
I'm trying to stop watching shite wrestling.
No.
You're just trying to push it on me.
Well, I'm the king of shit wrestling.
You're a shite pusher.
Jobby jabber, if you will.
I find that offensive.
No, you don't. Shut your ass up. So Helm starts interrogating more people. He walks up to Sammy Callahan and Madman Fulton, who were just standing there holding hands, drinking beers next to a pool. And he's like, "So what are you up to?" It's like, "What? Can't just two guys just stand here next to a pool, drinking beer, holding hands without it being anything?" And then Helms hears something rustling in the back. He turns around. When he turns back around, oh my God, Sammy Callahan and Madman Fulton are also dead.
Oh no.
So we then get on to Teddy Long comes out, and he's like, "Oh God, they had me on this first one. They got me back for this one. I mean, kind of strapped for cash, so I'll do anything."
Like murder?
Moida. So this was just a random clusterfuck. This wasn't even in the ring. This was just at an entrance. I think it may be the other side of the entrance, like that wasn't next to the ring. And just a bunch of random people just started going at it. And the only two guys I recognize is I think they play the haters in Insane Clown Posse's JCW. They were like the only people I recognized. Well, and Laser, who was getting interviewed earlier, he dives out a tree on top of them at some point, and then halfway through the match, Teddy Long just stands on a ladder and comes back on the mic and just like, this is the worst shit I've ever seen, but you know, I'm getting paid for this, so keep going. And then, out of nowhere, fucking Rhino just gores the hell out of people.
Okay, I'm back in.
Yeah, exactly. So he gores about 3 or 4 people. Then Tommy Dreamer runs in, and then Justin Credible runs in.
Uh-oh.
You know, poor Justin Credible. The color of life has not been good to him because he is bigger than Tommy Dreamer is now, and I don't mean that in a good way.
Did they not have that like meltdown at a show like last year?
Probably. And it looks like it's not really went to him well. I mean, clearly he's an older guy now, so it's just like he's getting like old guy fat.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the business, like he's not been for a long time, it's just obviously it was going to get to him eventually. So I'm not like ragging on him. I'm just stating a fact here. So the 3 of them start squaring up against each other, and Rhino's like, wait. We've been doing this hardcore shit for so long. And then Dreamer's like, yeah, like 25 years. And he's like, okay, why don't we, instead of hardcore, why don't we do softcore? So Dreamer's like, softcore! And then they start beating each other up with beach balls and stuffed toys. Then Rhino starts to wander off, and Dreamer's like, right, come on, Justin, let's get him. And Justin's like, I'm tired, I want to go home. So he just lays down on the ground, lets Tommy Dreamer pin him, and then Dreamer celebrates the fact that he finally went over. And then this guy in a mask and a full body outfit comes in and attacks and chokes out Tommy Dreamer. And then the mask comes off, and it's Scott Demure.
The coach.
So they ask him, why the hell did you do that? And he's like, have you ever been in a production meeting with this guy? You'll know why. Now, like, that stuff was fun, but see the next 3 bits of this, like, arguably this is well worth watching if you get the chance, like the second half of the show. So a pink Hummer starts making its way into the area. It kind of stops with a long way to walk, and then out comes Nox Tista, and then his buddy Nathan Orton, and of course with his trusty sledgehammer Triple Ha. And this is all to bring out the return to Talking Shop Mania of Nature Boy Paul Lee. So they start to make their long way walk to the I put area instead of arena, so the area where the ring is, which is kind of in the middle of the yard, while a parody acoustic version of Evolution's theme music plays in the background. And then then they get that perfect shot of like the Evolution style coming over the hill and all 4 of them walking in their suits, a la the Titantron. And then Triple H just kind of wanders off into the woods. Sorry, Triple, huh? Wanders off into the woods. And then we catch back up with him a couple of minutes later, and we find out that Mark Jindrak is just there in the woods. And Triple H was like, you were never big enough to be in my stable. And he's like, bro, like, you told me, why did you bring a grey suit? Why didn't you bring a black suit? I went and got my black suit and came back and nobody was there. So I went on and I became a massive star in Mexico. I'm fluent in 2 languages. And then he says something in Spanish. He goes, "Do you know what that means?" It's like, "Beware of the drop kick," and then he drop kicks Triple H. So that was a nice wee nod, if you know the story.
Yeah, the story of Jindrak was supposed to be the Batista in Evolution.
Yeah, because I always felt like I've seen the kind of footage as well of Jindrak with them, and it's like that wouldn't have worked because even though Jindrak is older than Orton, like Jindrak was still super young, so it would have almost kind of been like Triple H, Ric Flair, and then just two young boys, as opposed to like the young boy Randy Orton and the massive powerhouse Batista.
It could have worked. It's like, remember, Batista sort of started a bit older,
Yeah,
a bit later in life.
Yeah.
So I think with the whole point of it being Evolution, them with two younger wrestlers would have worked.
yeah, well, yeah, I agree with that aspect, but it's kind of that whole thing of I just felt like it really worked a lot better with Batista just because everybody kind of had their role to play. Whereas I feel like Orton and Jindrak were kind of, a bit on the same level. Whereas, like Batista and Orton were distinctly different. And the only reason Orton kind of won that world title before Batista did is because they kind of needed that to happen.
Well, I'm not saying that I would have preferred if it was Jindrak. I mean, I wouldn't have changed a thing with Evolution.
Yeah.
Like, the story was perfect the way it was.
I think I'm just kind of looking at it the wrong way.
What if?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a what if question.
Yeah, like obviously, like I assume probably the storylines would have went a bit differently had Jindrak been in it. I don't think that Jindrak would have went the exact same way as Batista to turning on Triple H and all that stuff. But
no, it would have been so different.
Yeah. So we finally get to the match. Triple H has disappeared, so Noxtista and Orton come in. Noxtista, which is Mike Knox, by the way. He gets in the ring and trips on the ropes. And then Orton, I believe this guy's a comedian, and his actual name is Nathan Orton, and he just happens to look a lot like Randy Orton.
Related.
Maybe actually, because I mean, like you can pure see it in his face. Like he has like this big, like moppy kind of style hairdo. But like his face is like, you actually do look like Randy Orton. So he's wearing a suit that's about 8 sizes too big for him, and then he gets on the ropes to do that patented Orton pose, and he kind of just shrugs and looks a lot like Toru Yano instead. And then, so it's George North versus Nature Boy Paul Lee. And these two actually work a match. Like, Paul Lee is a big, old, fat guy. And I don't mean that in terms of, oh, he's just a big, old, fat guy. Like, he's an actual big, fat guy who's old. So there was a spot where George North gets legit dumped on the back of his head with a back suplex, and then they start saying on commentary, like when they spoke to him after the match, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's how I always take it," and they were like, "Really? Like that's not how you're meant to do that." So because like obviously all these matches were recorded and they're dubbing over the commentary, so they were like, "Oh man, watch this." So George North goes for the people's elbow, and Paul Lee moves out the way about 30 seconds before he drops the elbow, but they called that in advance. It's like, watch this. Like, watch how long Paul Lee moves out the way for before George North drops this. And then they start cackling. Then Stump Kowalski, which is another short person that I'm 100% is not Swoggle, does a run-in. And there's this point where he's standing over Paul. He's standing over Paul, let's see. Yeah, he's standing over Paul Lee with a chair, and then as he swings, the camera cuts and the weapon changes to a baseball bat, and then when he connects, it changes again to a monkey wrench. And George North gets the win, and then they get out of here. But then during the match, they were like, they couldn't figure out what they wanted to call the parody evolution. So they started calling it Revolution, and they're like, no, that sucks. Decolution, penis illusion, just chuck ball illusion. And then Nox Tisa hits a power bomb at Paul Lee and Orton with the a punt that will that makes a lot of Orange Cassidy strikes look like lethal combinations. So what do you think about Revolution, for lack of a better name?
Well, Revolution was already a faction in WCW.
Probably why they were like, yeah, maybe not call it that.
It was essentially what was to become the Radicals, minus Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas, Jesus. Remember that guy? Is he like one of the most like arguably hated guys in wrestling?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think there's a very minute selection of people that actually enjoy him.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like, God, in those like 2004 Impact days, he was on the roster just as a backstage guy that just holds the mic for people, and it's like you could tell in that guy's face that he was angry about being in this situation.
Yeah, but the year before he was involved in one of the biggest storylines in TNA, his feud with Raven.
Yeah, the match where he got so blown up he vomited in the middle of the ring.
And he also scalped him.
Oh God, the scalping! Oh Jesus. Okay, so we'll move on to our penultimate match of the evening. There was build up throughout the night for this as Chavo Guerrero and Chico Del Luchador, who is Rocky Romero in a mask. They are getting ready for their death match. So this is in like some warehouse in LA, and they get to draft like team members. So there's a whole bunch of people there. So Chavo Guerrero gets to draft first. He drafts Eric Watts with a chainsaw.
Okay.
I think Eric Watts was in like one of the Tough Enoughs.
Eric Watts?
Is it Eric Watts? I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, if it's the Eric Watts I'm thinking of, he's been wrestling since the early 90s.
I think there's two Eric Wattses.
Because the one I'm thinking of is Bill Watts' son.
Yeah, it's not that guy.
All right, okay.
Yeah. And then Chico drafts Alex Kozlov with a gun. Then Chavo Guerrero drafts Kozlov's mum. And then Chico drafts, I couldn't even tell what this guy's actual name is, so I just wrote Zocre. There's another like kind of luchador in a mask. Then Chavo Guerrero drafts Talia Valkyrie. And then Chico makes a phone call, and JTG walks in.
Bet you're glad he answered the phone now.
I think, yeah. Then Chavo Guerrero drafts the referee. Then Chico drafts the brain-eating zombie. And then Chavo Guerrero drafts the clown. And then this dude wanders in called Taylor Williamson. And they're like, wait, weren't you on like Britain's Got Talent? Well, not Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent. And it's like, yeah. I used to having a death match. Can I be in it? And then, so we have our teams and we're ready to go. And some of the fun parts in this is Talia murders Zocre by breaking his neck and ripping his spine out.
Damn. Fatality.
I know, it was so Mortal Kombat. Kozlov attacks Talia and says women should be in the kitchen. Then Kozlov's mum comes over and attacks him and starts spanking him. And then he rams his finger up her ass.
Well, that's how you calm a raging dog. You stuck a finger up its arse, that'll calm it down.
Tell me more.
It's a still game joke. It's nothing much. There's a big bastard devil dog, as they call it, and all the old guys, they're like that. What do you do if you get attacked by a big bastard devil dog? You're dead. And then one of them goes, no, you stuck a finger up its arse and it releases its jaws from you and goes away.
Interesting.
And then Isa starts on them, and then one of them goes, stick a finger up her arse, that'll calm her down.
That's good to know as a postman if I ever get attacked again. So then the zombie which sadly was not the ECW zombie, because that would have really made it.
Is he not dead?
Is he?
I heard he was dead. I might be wrong.
Oh no, I really hope not. Aaron something, I'm pretty sure it was called.
Living the gimmick.
Yeah.
Or
so
not.
Well, I think we're kind of getting ourselves in a bit of a hole here. So
moving on.
Moving swiftly on. The zombie is wearing a face mask, and so is Kozlov, but Kozlov only has his over his face. And so the zombie's like, oh man, you're doing good, but just pull your mask up over your nose. So Kozlov starts making fun of the zombie. So the zombie says, yeah, well, if you're a zombie, you'd eat balls. Got him. So Kozlov gets a gun and shoots the zombie. Then the zombie dives on top of Kozlov, but then Kozlov grabs his pistol and shoots the zombie in the head, blowing his head off. So this is the part where Watt starts talking to that Taylor guy and was like, oh, what show were you in? And then when he replies, he's like, I've never heard of it. And so Taylor's like, oh yeah, mainly only mums watch it. And then Watt starts getting like really angry and going, what? You try to say that I'm a mum? And he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's like, what? Like mums can't wrestle and sort of shit like that. So he tries to kill Taylor with a chainsaw. Chico saves him. Then Chavo comes back. He starts coughing, and Taylor's like, no, I'm out of here. So Chavo and Chico go at it. Chico rams Chavo's face into a stool, and Chavo comes back and is like, oh, it's not meant to hurt. Then Taya and Kozlov's mum start to back up Chavo, and then Chico says only two things are true: death and Ric Flair never paying his taxes. Then JTG has a bazooka, which he fires at Taya, Chavo, and Kozlov's mum. But then after the explosion dies away, Chavo is still there, stabs JTG in the neck, and then knocks out Chico. Then there's this whole long animated scene with Enzo, Sex Ferguson, and Chad Too Bad with Chico. There's only kind of one funny joke here because like Chico was like kind of messed up was when Enzo goes, who ate all the cocaine brownies? And then this goes on for a long time. Eventually they bump into Jericho's character from the start, and then they come back to reality, and then Taylor again walks back in, stabs Chavo Guerrero with a lightsaber for real. And it's like, wait, he stabbed me for real. So Chavo's dead. And then all the other wrestlers run back in the room going, it's wrestling. It's not meant to be real. Would you kill this guy? So, yeah. Like, arguably, that may have been the best match of the night, though. That was hella fun. Then Helm says that he saw... Huh?
Can you even call it a match?
I think that was meant to be like a kind of like...
It was a broken match.
Yeah, kind of. Or like the Stampede match, I guess, for a better reference. Let's see. So then Helm says he's solved the mystery as Air Paris shows up, and he's like, where were you on the date of da-da-da? And Paris is like, oh, I was home watching WCW because they fired me the week before. And then Then he pimps his wrestling store, his wrestling tea store. Then Marty Jannetty throws Helms through the barbershop window because they were standing in front of that for some reason, and then that was the end of that whole segment. So we go into the main event. Sex Ferguson versus Chad Too Bad. They show them preparing by ramming their junk into things to strengthen it up. And then
is that supposed to be like the eye for an eye match, but their balls?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, okay.
Oh, good. I thought I took the mute off there. I didn't.
And now it's on, now it's off, now it's on, now it's off.
I know. This touchpad is a pain in the chops. So David Penzer, who's been doing the ring announcing the entire night, comes out and he's like, the following contest is the main event. Thank God. And it is a ball for a ball match. So at the last show, Chad Too Bad came out and a coffin, a casket that came out in a hearse, but they dropped the casket last time. So this time he's like, right, I've got this really cool entrance driver. I know that you're a gallows guy, but you're doing this for me. So what to do is just drive away like backwards really slowly, and then the casket should just slide out nicely onto the floor. He's like, right, ready? Okay, here we go. So then the hearse drives away about like 30 miles an hour, and the casket just flies out the back. And that's how we start this match. So Sex Ferguson comes up with a couple other people, including Larry D. And this is when Richard Pupchin show up again and start attacking the crew. And because they're all so fat, they couldn't get out the front of the van, so they were struggling with that for a while. And then Sex Ferguson takes out Richard Pupchin, and they start going, God, it really smells around here. And it's like, then they turn around and go, oh man, that is one shitty gimmick, pointing at Richard Pupchin. So they start wrestling, and they get Mordecus to show up, who tries to attack Chad Too Bad with his logo.
Mordecai?
Mordecus.
Oh, is that what they're calling him because of gimmick?
Yeah, I also don't think it was actually him, but he was dressed in the Mordecai attire, but he was walking up going. So he does the thing with the big cross staff thing, and then tries to ram it into Chad's balls, but he gets out the way, and so he rams it into his own balls, and then kind of saunters off. Then Chad Too Bad has one of those old person litter pickers, rams that into Sex Ferguson's balls, and so he's selling, but then he's also screaming, I'm kind of getting a little hard from that. And then Chad's like, yeah, I can feel that. That's weird. Then Triple H comes back and starts talking about how, like, oh, yeah, used to would have been great in our group, and then hits Sex Ferguson in the balls with a sledgehammer. Chad then tries to cut Sex's tongue off. Then a sex swing just shows up where they were, and Sex Ferguson claims in it. So he just then sits there and then just starts screaming, don't finger me, don't finger me. Then Sick Nick Mondo shows up with his weed whacker. And then they kind of put the kibosh in that because they're like, I don't think we can afford this. So he just kind of wanders off. But fucking Sick Nick Mondo, like arguably one of the greatest deathmatch wrestlers in like the early stages of CZW. He was essentially the dude that put CZW on the fucking map. Then Gallows' wife shows up with some girl called Addie Cruz. I'm not sure who that is, but she was an attractive Asian chick, and I guess that was kind of the gimmick of like, because Chad Too Bad then for the rest of the match got annoyed that he was like, oh, you didn't tell me that your wife knew Addie Cruz. Any idea who she is?
No, but it sounds like they're already kind of making a mockery of our real life situation.
Yeah, a little bit. Because I mean, like that was the thing. Like the whole time, like they kept mentioning like the hot Asian wife and all that. And even at the start, there was like this little animated bit where Carl Anderson's hot Asian wife appears on TV and starts to take her shirt off, and then they change the channel. But I know there's a lot of like weird, like, and then like the whole time, Carl Anderson, well, like when he was doing the commentary bit, had a hot Asian wife T-shirt on, like in the NWO sort of letters.
Mm-hmm.
So then, then Gallows' wife is like, seriously, you're doing this again? Like, I went out to see a movie and I come back and you're just playing Chad Too Bad and Sex Ferguson again. So they wander off. Then Gangrel shows up. Gangrel getting these fucking bookings this year, son. And then he spits the blood to the balls of Chad Too Bad. Sex Ferguson with the giant peg to the nuts, and then hits the peg with a monkey wrench. Then Sex Ferguson says, "It's time to go to Cock City," and then tries to ram Chad Too Bad's face into a dildo. Then Sex Ferguson with a taser to the dick of Chad Too Bad. Then Chad slaps Sex Ferguson with the dildo to the head, and then just under his breast, Sex Ferguson goes, "I'm a dickhead now." Then Chad ties Sex Ferguson's balls up to a truck, and then the Orton shows back up again, and he just kind of stands there. I think he said, "I think I just came," and then kind of wanders off. And then you hear crying off screen, and then like, what the fuck is that? Who's crying? So I'm gonna pause there. Who do you think was crying?
Ric Flair, because he cries a lot. Or was it Paul Lee you called him?
Very good guess, but I'll give you one more, and I'll give you a hint. It's not a wrestler, but very well known in wrestling community.
Superhuman?
Okay, you know what? That would have been better. But it's still real to me, damn it, shows up.
Alright.
And then they both just kind of like, who the fuck booked this guy? Chad says, "I'm going to rip off your dick. I'm going to bite the top off of your dick." And Sex Ferguson's like, "That's a bit weird." And Chad's like, "I know it's a bit weird." So they back up this truck, and then they hit the fat chick that was in the first one that was making out with the old Elvis dude. And then this is the big finale here. So they do a double nut shot to each other, but both of them in the balls, put each other in the balls. Zombie, Callahan, Kozlov, and Madman Fulton come and attack until they're saved by Ethan Page, the Karate Man. So he says, "I've only tortured one penis in my life, my own." And then they were like, "You've been sent by the cock torturer, haven't you?" And he's like, "Yes." And then so he kicks him, punches them both in the nuts. Then Stang shows up with his baseball bat, hits them both in the nuts. Then Mr. Hughes and Virgil show up, and then they start stomping on both their dicks. And then the Warlord and Barbarian show up and rip both their nutsacks off. Then Steiner shows up and starts shouting abuse at them, says their girlfriends are ugly, and then this pay-per-view sucks. So the winner of the match was announced as the Cock Torturer, and the CWO is now official. So we have a quick go backstage with the Cock Torturer and his faction. Just a lot of rambling goes on. Then Scott Steiner starts to do some Steiner math. He's like, I mean, both of them going in, they both had a cock, so they both had a 50% chance of winning. And then it just kind of goes on like that. And then a lawyer walks in and tells the Cock Torturer that, we didn't trademark the CWO. So don't use that. And then the cock torturer ends the show with the belt that Chad Too Bad had. And that will be to be continued at Talking Shop Mania 3. And scene.
Taken.
I could imagine like it's a lot to take in when you didn't fucking watch it.
Yeah, my imagination's running wild.
If you get the time, I'd say at least watch maybe the second part, like from the kind of what was it? I think it was the match just before the death match. Like all that stuff was actually pretty damn entertaining, and then like the other stuff was just weird. But now that was on Friday night, and then on Saturday night was Impact Wrestling's turning point. Finally, Robert gets a chance to have a bit of a chat.
Yay! Yay!
So the first match of the evening was Eddie Edwards taking on Daivari. So Robert, why don't you take us away?
This was good. Like, if you put, it doesn't matter who's really in the ring with Eddie Edwards, it's going to be a good match. But Daivari really pulled his weight, and he looks phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I think I really think that this is kind of like the last resurgence for Daivari, and I really think he's going to make this one count.
Yeah,
like it looks like he's got himself into absolutely phenomenal shape, and I mean, like as we were kind of talking about at the last pay-per-view, Bound for Glory, when he showed up in that Rumble, and how me and Chris in our drunken states were like, fucking hell, man, he looks incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. So he definitely did pull his weight in this match. So he started working the shoulder on Eddie, which was along his sort of let's try taking that line again, because I'm an idiot and got lost because I started reading my notes. This is all staying in, by the way, but I just mean I'm going to take that line again. So Daivari started working on Eddie Edwards. Yeah, this in case you're wondering, this is normally shit that we do, where it's like I'm going to take that line again, and then that gets edited out. But this is a non-edit version of the show, exclusive, raw, unfiltered. Now I'm going to take a drink before I do that. So Daivari starts working on the arm of Eddie, and that's kind of what he starts going for most of this match, is beating down the arm, throwing him into the sort of guardrails, throwing him into the apron, throwing him into the fucking ring post. There you go. I tried to say that 3 goddamn times. So Eddie starts fighting back, sets up for the Boston Knee Party. Daivari manages to get out of the way and gets a roll up and attempts to use the ropes for leverage, which the ref sees. So then he starts arguing with the referee, and that allows Eddie to then get in position, hits the Boston Knee Party for the win. Fun little opening match between them. Yeah, I would actually like to see if Daivari will continue on in TNA, Impact, and see if he's actually going to become like a big part of it, or if he's just going to come in to do these kind of, like pay-per-views and one-offs.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's talk that he started at Bound for Glory as a producer. So I don't know if maybe he'll just occasionally show up and do on-screen appearances, but it seems like the majority of his work is backstage.
I mean, it's kind of nuts with like just the way that we were talking about him at the beginning, where it's like, oh, best shape of his career and all that, and it's like, oh, he's got to be a producer.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the our next match, which was Rosemary and Talia Valkyrie versus Jordan Grace and Tenille Dashwood. What do you think?
I thought Grace, Taya, and Rosemary were good. Not really feeling this Tenille character.
Like the whole gimmick?
Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
I feel like it's meant to, in a way, be like a jab at Emelina because of the way that was meant to be.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see her wrestle.
Yeah, because that's definitely what she's not doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, her strong suit. And it's like, right, we get it. She's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly attractive, but that is not what we're needing right now.
Yeah, like this match had the potential to be probably one of the best TNA Knockouts tag team matches. Impact, sorry, one of the best Knockouts tag matches that they've had with the talent in the match. But when you've only get 3 out of the 4 actually doing something, it's kind of hard to achieve.
And this is the second time that she's started walking out on her partner. Tenille, like, so.
Yeah, there's a theme.
Yeah, of like, she's not really willing to wrestle anymore. It's just kind of like almost like she's trying to like do as little as possible, and then trying maybe like, oh, modeling's like my main career.
Yeah, fame whore.
Yeah. So yeah, the match started with Dashwood in the ring, and then she started posing for Caleb with a K. And as he started taking photos, like you just see Rosemary just creep up behind her, and then that scares Dashwood out of the ring. Dashwood then claims that she needs to continue warming up and starts stretching on the apron while Jordan Grace does a lot of the work in this match. And then there was one point in the match where she hits the spinebuster on Taya and clearly has a 3 count, but Dashwood had tagged herself in before the cover, and then she covers Taya, gets 2 for herself, and Dashwood clearly only wanting to be in the ring with Taya because Rosemary's scary. Scary.
She's scary. She's a scary girl.
She's scary. So near the end of the match, Dashwood jumps off the apron to take more photos as Grace was wanting to make the hot tag. And then that was a point where Rosemary hit the kind of hooked butterfly, like kind of, it's not really a bomb. What would you call it? Like with it, like, so she hooks the arms. She has like Jordan Grace's legs like kind of round her waist. Then she drops onto her butt, so kind of like planting Jordan Grace.
It seems it's a bit like a sit out buster, but it's like a weird reversal. It's like a fucked up muscle buster, I would say.
Yeah, in a way. So I don't. It's like the annoying thing is that it's not the first time I've seen it. I just haven't a clue what the name of the move is.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back. Oh, sorry.
I really liked Taya and Rosemary's outfits. It was like, do you remember Batman Forever? Two-Face's birds, Sugar and Spice.
Ooh, that one might need a Google, but
it was one of these birds was for like his human side, and the other one was for like his evil side.
Which makes sense because a couple of weeks ago, Johnny Bravo was dressed up as Two-Face.
Yeah, that works.
Right, Batman Forever.
Sugar and Spice.
Sugar, and Spice. Yeah, I can definitely see it. Interesting. Bad nipples.
Bad nips. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, bad nips.
So we go backstage, and the Diener cousins are having a chat. Cody Diener is still down about losing to Johnny Swinger. So they says, "Oh, okay, we're gonna go find him, and we're gonna give her."
Is that a Tucker and Dale versus Evil joke?
What, the giver thing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because
Because I think Tucker,
Cody,
or is it? No, I think Dale wears a hat and it says on it "Giver."
because I'm pretty sure Cody Diener done the giver gimmick before Tucker and Dale was a movie. Because this is Cody Diener's second run in TNA.
Yeah.
In fact, well, I say TNA because technically he was in the original TNA when it was TNA. So technically that one's not a flub.
Yeah. But I was curious because I think I vaguely remember
I think it's a redneck thing, or like whatever you want to call it, like that kind of, like lifestyle. It's like that's like a thing that they say. Can't really think.
Bit like us when we shout "Moon" then.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I'm putting it down to. But we move on to Brian Myers versus I almost said his jail name.
His jail name.
Or his prison name, whatever the fuck it is that people say it as these days.
Slave name.
Yeah, slave name, that might be it. So it's Brian Myers versus Swoggle.
This was good, but it was a bit too competitive to be taken seriously. Because, I mean, you had Myers basically dominating the gauntlet at Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
And then at points in a match, he's struggling against someone that doesn't sort of
actually wrestle.
Like, no pun intended, it doesn't measure up to him.
Puns. Love it.
No, I said no pun intended.
I know, but I enjoyed it anyway.
Like, so it... Like, I don't know if I'm just overthinking it, but I liked it, but I just felt as though it was too competitive.
Well, I think that's kind of meant to be the story now. And the way that one of the recent impacts, Swoggle said, like I've came here to be a wrestler. I've always been looked at as just like a comedy gimmick and all that sort of stuff, but I'm here to prove that I can wrestle, which is funny, considering I'm pretty sure Hornswoggle shows up on AEW last night dressed as a baby.
Yeah, he's all over the place now.
Yeah, so, yeah, Jesus, you have no idea how long my notepad is this week with the amount of notes I've needed to take. Obviously, we're not going to get into all that on this episode. We'll be doing that a little bit later on in the week, which, we'll plan a later date off mic. But yeah, just the fact that, like, he made that such impassionate speech about, oh, I'm not a joke, I'm a wrestler and this is why I'm here, and then literally shows up in AEW dressed as a baby, and it's like, oh, I see that went well for you.
Well, it's a different company, so different canon.
Maybe. So yeah, the match happens with Myers starting off the match telling Swoggle to lay down, but Swoggle refuses. Swoggles then hits a tilt-a-whirl and then a dive to the floor. Not a die, Jesus. Mm-hmm. Myers swipes the legs of Swoggle on the apron and then gets a 9 count on the outside. Myers beats down Swoggle for a while, including the old woman standing on the hair spot where they grab the arms and pull them up.
I call it your hair is a bitch.
Swoggle fires back with a German suplex on Myers, which actually looked really quite impressive.
Yeah.
And then There was the kick to the knee and the cutter by Swoggle. Swoggle goes up for his tadpole splash, but Myers takes Swoggle out on the top. Then Myers attempts a suplex, but Swoggle baits Myers in the leg. Then he kind of cuts the legs out from under him, which was a nice little addition. Then he hits the tadpole splash for 2. Myers then hangs Swoggle up on the second rope when he's outside, and then hits, like, they say that he hits the patented Myers clothesline and gets the victory, and it's like, I don't seem to remember Myers' finisher being the clothesline, but...
Well, it's maybe not his finisher, but it's maybe like a signature.
Yeah, maybe more so.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Triple XL promo backstage. Larry D calls Sabin and Storm a dream team because that's all they are. It's a dream. And when we're done with them, they're going to wake up and realize they were living in a nightmare. I don't know. I think Larry D's quite a decent little talker. What do you think?
He's not bad. I mean, I quite enjoyed this. I've seen the two of them before, and it looks as though the both of them have been losing weight, which is nice to see them being a bit more healthy. Especially Romero.
Yeah, Romero's lost over 100 pounds.
Yeah, I'm really glad for that, because before I'd seen him on like MLW, and it just looks as though he's just like a heart attack waiting to happen.
I know.
But I'm chuffed for them and the progress they're making.
It's nice the things he can do at that size, though, to be honest.
Yeah, the things he can do, being that, it's amazing. Like, but just think, the more weight he loses, think how the more he could probably do.
I know. I'm definitely pulling for him as well. Like it's very impressive. Like, it is funny, look, the fact that they do have the gimmick of Triple XL, despite the fact that both of them are losing weight.
It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Look, I really like these two.
I know. Like, I watched like part of one of the Impact specials a long time ago. Just came out after AC Romero was hired, and then he was teamed with Larry D when I didn't know who Larry D was, and then they beat, like, I think they beat the Rascals or something like that, and I was like, wow, like, all right, they must be kind of high on these guys. And then like the next week on Impact, Larry D wanders out. It's like, oh well, looks like that guy got a fucking job from it, so you know, good for him.
Don't bring up Rascals now, it's too soon.
I know. That's why I kind of feel like they should have had a match on this show as well, but we got it on Impact. But anyway, the tag match we are going to talk about is Triple XL versus Chris Sabin and James Storm, which I deemed at this point, before the match had even started, the beer guns.
I never even thought of naming them. It wasn't until they actually done it, and I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I was just like, I put the beer guns, and then like halfway through the match when they go, oh, beer guns! And I was like, oh my god, they did it.
I really enjoyed this match as well. James Storm just fucking smashed it. Like, the term tag team specialists gets flung about a lot, but I think James Storm is the tag team specialist. He seems to be able to just pair with anyone and have like an instant chemistry.
I know. He's got something, which is kind of annoying because he is also an excellent like singles competitor. Like, I would argue that had James Storm stayed like prominent in a company for a long time, like, he would arguably be one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Well, he was prominent in TNA for years.
I know, sorry, I should rephrase that. I mean, recently. Like,
I think, see if he'd stayed in NXT, I think he would have probably be up in the main roster now as one of the top stars.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Robert Roode coming in not that long after.
Yeah,
like,
after he left.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even I've been hearing rumors that apparently he was meant to appear on Raw the Raw after WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was supposed to be signed. It was supposed to be signing a contract with WWE. Then COVID hit, and it just sort of put the kibosh on everything.
Which really sucks considering.
Yeah, but I'm happy he's in Impact because I think they'll know what to do with him and use him properly and effectively.
Yeah, and I think
just being another guy on the roster.
I do think this is kind of one of these things as well, where it's just like, maybe keep yourself busy just now, and we'll see how things go. Because Jim Storm, obviously, like, he had those few matches in NXT, and then he kind of left, but they always said, "Oh, the door's still open for you here," and then all this fell through. So I do think that's the kind of thing where James Storm is definitely someone on their radar, and I think eventually he will make it there before all is said and done. But I do think he kind of needs to get there quickly, though.
Yeah, time sort of.
He's getting on in years.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say. Time's running
out. So we'll take a look at the actual match, where the match starts with Sabin and Larry D, as Sabin is trying to knock Larry D down with the shoulder blocks. But Larry D ain't budging. So Sabin says, Sabin says, "All right, one more." So he preps himself to run and then hits a drop kick to the knees on Larry D. That was a nice little, nice little, got him. Yeah, exactly. So later on in the match, Sabin and James Storm just start going on a crossbody over the top frenzy with Storm using Sabin as like the kind of platform. Yeah, exactly. The platform, catapult, whatever the fuck you want to call it, just sending Storm over the top on top of them. And then Sabin just like, he's like, James Storm is the big heavy one. He can knock anybody down, but like Sabin knocks him down with like the speed as opposed to the size.
Yeah, the velocity, yeah.
Yeah. And then this is the part where they do the beer money style double team vertical suplex, and then they go, "Oh, beer guns," which popped me hard. Fucking loved it. Then Sabin with a spinning DDT using Storm as a sort of boost on AC on Larry D, but AC breaks the pin, and then AC hits a senton on Sabin, and I seriously thought that Chris Sabin was going to die.
His skeleton just fucking bursts from his body.
Yeah, it just like comes out of his fucking like mouth. Just the whole thing. The biggest guy in the match doing a senton to the smallest guy in the match. Oh, icky. So Triple XL do the kind of running at each other, hoping to splash Sabin in between them, but Sabin steps out of the way. There was a step-up kick by Sabin, a super kick. I think this was to Larry D, was it? Or
Maybe.
AC? I can't remember.
I didn't take notes for the show. I'm just going off memory because I just need to sit and try and enjoy it.
Yeah. So the super kick by Storm gets the beer guns to win. And as I mentioned before, this is one of those annoying things that Josh Matthews does where he calls the finish before it happens.
I noticed it, but I didn't notice it in this match. I noticed it in another match, and I'll talk about it.
But this was the first. This is the first time and not the last.
But this was also the point while the show was airing live that some asshole decided to share spoilers for the show.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, it wasn't Impact's only problem of the night. Supposedly they had a lot of trouble getting up and running for the show, to the point where they actually aired Turning Point for free on their own website on ImpactWrestling.com.
Wow, no shit.
And it's actually, the whole show is now available on YouTube on the Impact Wrestling page.
And I mean, like, even if this the amount of trouble they had, like, arguably, this is probably fuck. I mean, I'm trying to like rack my brains on how you say this. Like, this was arguably one of the most important shows that Impact Wrestling has put on, other than maybe Bound for Glory. Because if I remember, I don't think, other than the Machine Guns returning and the World Champion being crowned, not much else happened at Slammiversary, like, of note.
Yeah, like, I think the name for the event is very appropriate. I think it is a massive turning point for Impact, to the point where I'm interested now.
Yeah.
I'm very interested. Very interested to the point where I think I'm actually just going to drop watching NXT and replace it with Impact.
I mean, you know that you're always going to have me to talk to about it, so.
Yeah.
And yes, I completely understand what you're saying, considering the fact that I just watched NXT.
I've done a wee bit of reading as well, and support a lot of die-hard Impact fans are proper praising this show. So like, right, this is a lot different than the other monthly specials where nothing much of consequence ever happens.
Yeah.
Like, we had story development with the Bravo thing that we'll get to later on. That was, like, they said that was the sort of the first major, like, breakthrough of that story.
Yeah, like, I mean, this is what I was kind of mentioning when we started talking about this, was originally I was just going to skip this because all these Impact Plus events are just that, what you're saying. They're just essentially glorified house shows where titles are on the line but nothing happens.
I think it has the sort of do you remember the one night only pay-per-views that they done?
Yeah. They were non-canon.
Yeah, it was not canon. So it's like, right, okay, so why should I care? I think until I watched this show, I kind of felt that way about the Impact Plus specials.
Yeah.
But now they've turned a corner. They're making you want to watch it. Like, even on Impact, they're referring to what happened at Turning Point. Exactly. They never done that with the one night onlys.
See if I didn't watch this and then I watched Impact and was like, are you fucking serious? I missed this and that because we've not got to them yet. And then I would have just been like, right, fuck, this is like, I would have been frustrated. And so, like, I'm kind of glad that we essentially talked to each other into watching this. And
yeah, I'm glad we did.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up an interesting point at the end of this that I'm gonna ask you about. And I think maybe you might know where I'm going with this already. But as you kind of alluded to, the next segment was the Deaners. They were going looking for what's his butt Swinger, the Swing Man.
Swinger Daddy.
And they grab his fanny pack because a couple of weeks ago, Swinger attacked Cody Deaner in their match and knocked him out, and that's where Deaner got his loss. That's what he's been frustrated about. So they pick up the fanny pack and go, "This is what he hit me with. Oh, this is heavy." And then inside they find a gun. And for some reason, that was really not what I expected. I was expecting like a brick or something.
Yeah, the norm for like loaded items, it's either like, you know, like a brick of lead or just a brick or something to that effect. Big chunk of metal. But
yes, the infamous items.
But
actual gun.
As soon as I seen it, with I kind of thought, I kind of knew where things were going to go. Like,
yeah.
Because Swinger's doing like the old fucking Carney gimmick.
He wants those Rizats.
I like, because I've heard stories like way back in the day where wrestlers would carry guns, either for, you know, like fans, like, and they were like sort of fearing for their lives because of how effective like a heel they were, or the promoter wasn't, legit in paying them.
Playing ball.
Yeah, they weren't willing to do business. So I kind of thought, like, right, this might just be a coincidence, because what does Swinger have to gain? But then, well, if we look back to the Ty and Rosemary, they are really close with Bravo. Rosemary was going to marry him, but neither one seemed too fucking upset or broken up.
I know, yeah, true.
So this is quite. I'm enjoying these wee segments of the Who Shot Bravo.
The one that was the most upset was Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, to the point where he's now having like an identity crisis where he thinks he's fucking Sherlock Holmes.
I know. I mean, we'll maybe quickly talk about the outcome of that later, because, as you says, before we started recording, we actually did also both watch Impact, so we'll kind of do a little bit of the kind of
a wrap up.
An aftermath. It's not going to be a full Impact episode rundown by any means, but we'll touch on some of the important parts. So yes. Rohit Raju was out next with his defeat Rohit. What do you call it? Challenge.
Challenge.
And okay.
I'd never seen this. I never seen this one coming. I would not have guessed Cousin Jake.
Yeah, that was my first note. Was so Cousin Jake comes out, and literally my first note was I did not expect this.
When I heard the music, I thought, right, maybe it's going to be Cody.
Yeah, Diener, the smaller of the two of them.
Because I always forget now that they've reverted back to the way the X Division title was, where there's no weight limit. Because I remember after Abyss lost the belt to Kendrick, they then put a weight limit on the belt.
Was that not when?
It was the whole TNA versus Immortal storyline.
Because I remember there was also that time they put a weight limit on when Johnny Devine was hanging about Team 3D or some shit like that. I think there's been more than once that they've tried to put a weight limit on it, and then they're just kind of like.
What that was they actually put a weight limit on Team 3D, where they had to make weight to fight the Guns or anyone in the X Division.
All right. So I'm misremembering that.
They would fight like Shark Boy and Curryman. But if they would fight them, they would lose the match by forfeit because like Bubba didn't make weight.
Well,
shit like that.
And they also lost to them legitimately, and the Fish Market street fight.
Yeah.
The greatest of street fights. This is why we should just cover old TNA.
Oh, I'd love to, because I remember being fucking 16 and finding TNA on the wrestling channel.
Yeah. Jesus. I know. Like, I remember I used to, like, put on Ring of Honor and go, ooh, it's in a high school gym. That's so Bush League, and I would not watch it. But then I seen TNA with this, like, awesome fucking stage and wrestlers that I knew, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the shit. And I watched TNA for fucking years, like all that old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wasn't even that old.
Yeah, and then when we started, my house, we fell out with Sky TV. We didn't have the wrestling channel anymore, so the only way I could keep up with it was reading Power Slam magazine.
To be honest, eventually the wrestling channel
dried up,
went to shit. Yeah, it kind of turned itself into the Fight Network, and about 99% of the time it was like really, really Bush League MMA promotions.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, I just had to rely on DVD releases.
Yeah, it was a fun couple of years that we had with the wrestling channel, definitely. And what I would give to have that channel back.
Oh, especially now with all the great independent wrestling that's out there.
Yeah. Man, it's just kind of one of those things where like back in the day, I wish I knew how to podcast and how easy it is to do now.
The thing is you never know what you have until it's gone.
I know exactly. It's
But
heartbreaking.
But Fight is the replacement for the Wrestling Channel, because they host a plethora of promotions. They even have free shows a lot.
They do, yeah.
Like Ring of Honor goes up weekly for free.
Even those primetime, the kind of NWA and other companies collab, like I think to watch it like live as it happens, you pay a small fee. I think it's like $8 or something. But a few weeks later, they eventually come out for free because I started looking into those, and there's one episode that I can't obtain. Think of that what you will. And then I went onto the Fight Network, or Fight.tv, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and I can watch it there for free. So it was like episode like 6 or something. So maybe after so many weeks, it just goes into rotation, and you can just watch it for free. If you're willing to wait that long, you can get it for free. Or if you want to see it, then and there, $8, which is a couple of quid.
Because it's mostly spoiler free anyway, because nobody's really talking about it. I think the only people that are talking about it is AEW, and they're only really referring to the NWA women's division.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's one of the ones where you can go back and watch it and not be spoilered, unless you're quite looking for spoilers.
I know.
And are going to hit you in the face.
Like how I fucking unintentionally done that this week and found out that Drew won the title back on Raw.
Well, I don't watch Raw, so that was meh for me. The one time I done it, but I done it accidentally, was Tanahashi versus Omega at Wrestle Kingdom. We were trying to figure out why Omega called his move the V-Trigger, because I don't play Street Fighter. And then it came up, Kenny Omega, former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And I was like, well, this is getting turned off.
Son of a bitch.
I done it to myself.
That's pretty much what I done, actually. Because it was Tuesday, but I hadn't watched SmackDown yet. So Chelsea Green came out. She was in a 4-way match.
Then got injured.
She got injured. So I then looked up one of the dirt sheets to find out what her injury was. And then stupidly scrolled down a little, and it says, new WWE champion crowned on Raw. And then I just went, fuck! And then pressed it away, and I was like, okay, right. Miz was out. He was claiming that he's got to cash in Money in the Bank, yada, yada. Maybe that could still happen. And then I was like, right, okay. So then Drew just regained the belt. I was like, okay, Miz, please. Oh, show ended.
Were you really that upset about Drew winning the belt back, or were you just looking to be surprised?
I would have been much more happy with Drew winning the belt had I not known in advance he was going to win the belt.
You wanted to be surprised.
Yeah, I just really wanted, because the headline was purely new WWE champion crowned, and it was like, okay, well, that could be a couple of things.
Yeah, you had options there. But did you see WWE on BT Sports posted a tweet that was a Jaime Lannister quote from Game of Thrones, and it was about naming your sword?
I did not, but
so they put the Jaime Lannister quote up about naming your sword and how it strikes fear in you, and then they asked, what would Drew McIntyre's sword should be called? Because he carries about the Claymore. He does the Claymore, which is a Scottish sword. And SoCal Val sort of quote tweeted it and went, the best name for Drew's sword would probably be Lionheart. And I thought that's amazing. And then all these fucking assholes, they're going, oh, but that's Chris Jericho's name when he was in Mexico.
Yeah, that was also like fucking 30 years ago. And then clearly,
then SoCal Val went, do the research, pal. You'll find that there was a very prominent Scottish wrestler called Lionheart.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is clearly these people just don't know.
And the fact that they came from SoCal Val. Like kind of like she's worked with ICW before.
She has
a couple of times, but it's clearly something that she's really kept in touch with to come up with that like straight away.
Well, she lives in the UK now as well with her fiance, which still breaks my heart, but because I was really hoping that one time I met her, I was going to steal her away, but it didn't happen.
Well, you possibly could, because I met them, her and her fiance, and he seems very much like one of my people.
Okay, you steal him away.
Take from that what you will.
You take him away, and then I'll take her away.
I'm happy with the man I have.
But you could have two men.
I have Scottish Kota Ibushi.
But then I can have two women. Because, like, that's the thing is, like, obviously in the kind of weird way that, like, Kat always gets kind of annoyed anytime I like, crush over anybody. Like, she gets really annoyed when I crush over Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly.
I
can't believe that bitch is 60.
I know. And like that's the part that I keep bringing up to her. It's like, oh yeah, the hottest 60-year-old on the fucking planet, and she's like, nobody watch these films.
She's near enough got a bus pass if she was Scottish.
I know. But I know the tackles coming in and he's screaming. And Jesus, I was on her Insta earlier, like just scrolling through, like, fucking hell, man. There's like literally you're double my age, like literally double.
That's an age gap relationship.
Oh yeah.
That I would not moan about.
When it's and Taco's here and screaming at me, so I think he likes her too. Well, we definitely sidetracked a bit.
Heavy.
Yeah. I mean, like, if anything, like, the only other thing that happened on Raw, well, the only thing that happened on Raw, beg your pardon, was worth talking about, and so we talked about it, so that's that covered.
And then we spoke about the hottest 60-year-old in the world, Miss Tilly.
Yep. I mean, isn't Nigella Lawson also about that age?
Oh, no one gives a fuck about her.
Yeah, also, I think she's lost a lot of weight and is not as appealing anymore.
Yeah, like not
clearly bringing up these two women, it kind of shows the body type I like in a woman.
I mean, like, I think the biggest one of recently is Adele. She just looks like a completely different person.
I know.
I didn't even recognise her.
I know. You're like, it's like, oh look, here's Adele. I'm like, Adele who? And then I looked at the phone, I'm like, Adele who? And then they're like, then I scrolled down, seen the photo of her, and it's like, oh fuck, it's Adele.
You're like, where's the computer? I wanted Adele.
Goddamn Toshiba. Well, actually, I have an Acer. They're all laptops. Who cares?
Right, let's course correct now.
Yes, you trust me?
I'm becoming a really big fan of Rohit.
Yeah, you know what? So am I. I remember a few weeks, it was a few months ago at this point when you told me
you're saying Rohit won the X Division title.
You told me on an episode. I think it was one that just the two of us were doing, and I was like,
very much.
Aye. And you know what? It just goes to show that when you give a guy a chance and let him fucking go, how much he can go, because he was stuck in a fucking absolute, dead end tag team where they constantly kept changing his partner. They changed his partner about 3 fucking times, which,
Did they not even, they brought back that guy, did they not?
The old guy?
No. Remember the big muscly Indian guy that teamed with Grado?
Aye.
Mahabali. Did they not bring him back to team with him, and then that just sort of fizzled out?
Yeah, it sort of became like a 3-man faction because it was
the Desi Hit Squad.
Yeah, they were just bad, man, to be honest. And I guess I just kind of lumped Rohit Raju in that kind of thing of crap tag team with the old guy that's fucking annoying as hell, and oh look, there's Mahabali Shira. I didn't care about him, so
yeah, it really shows that like a tag team that has one good wrestler and one bad wrestler could really fucking drag it down. But he's taking this X Division title and he's away like a whippet with an arse full of dynamite.
I'm not entirely sure what a whippet is, but if
it's a racing dog.
Okay, cool.
Santa's little helper. It's a whippet.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a greyhound.
A greyhound and a whippet, they're same thing.
Cool. Nice. The more you know. I mean, I was going to say, like, I'm assuming anything that has dynamite in its arse would definitely be something that would be panicked, needless to say.
But even Jake looked really good in this match.
I know. Well, yeah. Like, to actually get back to it, Jake looked awesome in this match, which, again, is that kind of thing. It's like, Jake and Cody Deaner are not, like, bad wrestlers, but I definitely think that when the inevitable split happens, I feel that, like, both of them, but especially Jake, is going to definitely excel.
Yeah. And so, they've already laid the seeds with the breakup anyway, with Cody being a wee bit pissy.
Yeah. I think I don't know if that is partially just because it could lead to the swinger thing, but at the sort of same time, yeah, like it definitely is seeming that kind of thing where it's like
seeds have been planted.
Yeah, because obviously we'll get to this in a second, but sort of stuff that happens at the end of this match as well doesn't help.
Yeah.
But what we'll quickly do is we'll shoot through this match. So early on, Jake goes for a powerbomb but gets no dice. Rohit tries a few shots in on Jake but has no effect. Then Jake hits this punch that looked like it went straight into Rohit's neck.
Ugh.
Which was grim. Rohit counters a Uranagi style move and then hits a double stomp to the back of Jake. Rohit then tries a crossface, but Jake powers it quickly. Rohit then attempts a spinning DDT, but Jake stops the momentum and hits him with like the Rikishi driver. Rohit then attempts a cannonball in the corner, but Jake catches him in midair and hits a powerbomb for 2. But this looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like he literally, like the equivalent of rolling up a wall. Rohit was then on the top rope. So Rohit stomped off the top, but Jake moves, and then Rohit hits a series of knees for the 3s.
Knees for the 3s. I'm super chuffed with this match. I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. Like when the theme music hit, and I was like, all right, because I mean, obviously, I really wanted Suicide. Or Manic, whatever one you want. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yes.
But then, after the match, Rohit runs away with his X title, and Eric Young comes out with this big dude. And I'm not going to lie, for a second, I thought it was Silas Young, and I got really excited because I love Silas Young. So when I realized it wasn't, I was upset. But why don't you give us a quick rundown in as much detail as possible of what you thought of this newcomer to Impact?
Well, he's technically not a newcomer to Impact. Joe Doran re-debuted in Impact he was there for a wee while back in like 2005. He actually made his debut on the pre-show for Turning Point 05. So it's kind of like appropriate. He was a two-time Triple Crown champion in All Japan Pro Wrestling. So he's clearly talented in what he does. He even spent a couple of months down in FCW. So I think he looks as though he would fucking kill you. Like, he looks actual psychotic. And I think the pairing works very well.
Yeah.
And I'll have more to say about Joe Dorn when we do the aftermath.
Yeah, the other few notes that I have on him, because this is one of these few times where, you know, a person has made their debut, on American television, and I have genuinely no idea who the fuck the guy is.
Yeah, he's been wrestling mostly in Japan.
Yeah, like he held at least
he's done the Triple Crown twice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know who he was either, so I done a wee bit of reading.
Yeah, one of the AJPW tag titles that he's held was with your boy Sonata.
He also held them with Muta as well.
And he wrestled for JCW, the Insane Clown Posse's promotion.
Mm-hmm. He was in FCW for a while. He made as I said, it was sort of a re-debut for him on Impact.
Yeah. I kind of like that in the way that it's like
show back in 2005.
15 years in the making.
Yeah, he was there for maybe about 6 months.
Yeah, just kind of
mostly as a job guy.
Yeah.
But then I was looking into his training and stuff. He was trained by Scott Demore, and he was in the same class as Eric Young and Bobby Roode.
Which makes a lot of sense for the guy to come back then.
Yeah, and that's a very talented class of wrestlers as well, so he's in good company. You're on mute.
I know, sorry. But you want to know arguably the biggest bit of info I found?
Please do share.
In tag team action, he holds a victory over Hiroshi Tanahashi.
That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's a really big deal.
Don't know who won the match, but I'm going to assume that maybe Hiroshi Tanahashi's partner was the one that lost it. So,
well, Hiroshi Tanahashi these days is taking the pins more frequently.
Yeah, but maybe from what I read, this was kind of a lot more back in the day kind of thing. So this might have been more.
When it was the ace.
Yeah.
But no, I like this pairing. I'll talk more about it when we're talking about Impact.
Yeah, I like it as well, purely for the fact that it's like, it seems like, you know, Eric Young has just moved on from the world title now and he's doing something else. That I can get behind. I don't necessarily like the Eric Young character very much, and I thought he was far too strongly pushed as soon as he came back to the world title. Obviously, it was to give a good, sort of heel going into the main event of Bound for Glory for Rich Swann to win. But now that he seems to be away from it, I can probably get on board on this.
Do you think that's maybe because of how it was used in WWE?
Also, probably yes, but because I was thinking about this the other day though. He literally started using the same things, the same sort of like.
You're muted again.
Fuck, sorry. I was trying to clean my fucking laptop there and must have skimmed over it. he was using like the same verbiage and like the same promos that he cut before he left for WWE back when he was still in Impact. Like literally to the point where he kept saying, the world championship goes through me. And back in the day when that happened, it made no fucking sense because nothing ever came from him saying that. So when he just started saying that again, it's like, oh, good, you're just still doing the gimmick from 10 years ago. I didn't
Well,
care about you then.
it's more like to me, it's more like a continuation rather than a repeat. Because, I mean, from the way that it's coming across, it does seem a lot like Sanity 2.0.
Yeah. I mean,
But
like,
I'm
that was
so
kind of
far
the
I'm
annoying
behind it.
thing, though. That's the kind of annoying thing, though, is like the way that you bring up Sanity, like now is like, I think about that and it's like, yeah, well, yeah, it definitely is like Sanity in the way that like his gimmick in Impact before he left is kind of like it got figured into Sanity. Then I started thinking about Sanity and going, oh yeah, but that's the thing. Eric Young was the worst member of Sanity.
Really?
Yeah,
Not Fulton?
he doesn't count. He wasn't in it long enough. I'd even know he was a dick to me that once at fucking Download. I went up to like Jesus. I went up to the guy like this was when Fulton then. Funnily enough, it was Fulton and Wolf were a tag team before they had debuted on TV, and they were doing the signings with Nikki Cross. Again, before they were Sanity, so it was really funny having the three of them together. And went up to Nikki Cross, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And she stood up and gave me a massive hug. She's like, "How are you?" And then like we talked for ages, and then I got fucking ushered on, and then I went to the two of them, and I turned around to Phil and was like, "I like your new look and all that," and he's like, "Yeah, well, I try," and I was like, "Okay then, bye."
But the thing is, he's probably had some people maybe before you that's maybe pissed him off, and he's just in a mood, so I wouldn't have taken it personally.
I know, but it's that kind of thing. It's like I'm
Because
literally trying to go out my way to think of something to say to you, other
because
than, remember when you used to be that weird sexual guy?
the
That was
weird
on
thing
like
is
three episodes.
a lot of wrestlers refer to fans as marks, but in a lot of cases, the biggest marks are the fucking wrestlers themselves.
Isn't that what that like? Yeah, that is like the term. That is what people say. It's like, oh yeah, like that's why everybody in wrestling's a mark. The fans are marks. The refs are marks. The wrestlers are marks. The people on top are marked. Everybody's a mark in wrestling.
Yeah, but
It's just like,
but sometimes a lot of the time the biggest marks are the wrestlers themselves, marks for
yeah, but
themselves.
when they take themselves too seriously,
Yeah,
and that's why sometimes like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I am aware I'm a mark. I'm fucking borderline a smark by like all the dumb shit that I know. What can I say? I love wrestling. Leave me a fuck alone.
yeah, you're being penalised for being really interested in something.
I know.
And
It's like that. It's like that whole thing. It's like when fucking Rangers or Celtic or whoever like lose a game of football and you see fans
sports ball
cry.
teams.
Sports ball teams losing sports ball games, and then like you see fans crying in like the stands and all that. It's like, oh, yeah. But like if I cried over a wrestling match that really meant a lot to me personally, and my feelings and all that, I'd be called a fucking loser or a mark or everything else under the sun. And it's
Yeah,
like, well, now it's like you cried over fucking football. Like if I cried over wrestling, like it's the same thing. Like this is something that I enjoy, and it gives me like emotional
hmm
whatever the fuck. Like just because like, oh, it's fake and and it's like, oh my god, like I bet I would guarantee there's people that have cried over fucking these superhero movies.
I've cried in a few superhero films. Wrestling, yes. I'm not. I don't like using the word, but I'll say it because you said it.
Uh,
Yes, wrestling is fake, but The emotions are real.
Right, the emotions are real. Most of the moves that they're taking are real. It's predetermined, and my favorite saying is, wrestling is a lot like porn. It's all scripted, but the action's real.
Right, here's a question. When was the last time you cried at wrestling?
Asuka losing her streak.
All right. Mine's was this year. Edge coming back at Rumble.
If I was not on a plane flying home from Germany, yeah, probably.
I was in fucking tears.
100% actually. Because I could guarantee if I was jaked at the point where that happened and not watching it a day later, again, as I say, on a plane, like I needed to stifle my excitement on the plane, but I had a bit of a fit, and the dude sitting next to me just kind of turned around and was like, "You all right?" Like, just kind of looked at me, and I was just like, "Uh-huh."
I watched the Rumble the next day because I was working night shift at the time, so I avoided spoilers. And I was inconsolable, crying, like, and then we drew winning. It just sort of continued.
I know.
But I did have a wee tear this morning watching Impact. It wasn't a full-fledged greeting moment. It was just a wee tear.
A wee indie, like sort of like
Cherokee. Indian with the rubbish.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
One single tear.
Don't turn around. Ah! I told you not to turn around. Well, one guy that had more than just tears in his eyes was Willie Mack when he took on Moose for the TNA World Championship.
Oh, Jesus, fuck. This was brutal.
It was brutal, but see, at the same time, I don't care about either of these two.
Oh, I'm giving a fuck about Moose now.
I mean, we kind of need to give a fuck about Moose now because he is clearly snapped out of this delusion of the TNA being the TNA World Champion. He is definitely going for the world title, and I'm reckoning Hard to Kill main event is clearly going to be Moose versus Rich Swann.
Title for title.
Title unification. And
if he makes it to Hard to Kill.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we've got a title match on Impact next week that we'll discuss.
Yes. Well.
But since Bound for Glory, though, I've seen massive changes in this.
Yeah, I feel like I did not like that cinematic match between him and EC3, to be honest, but on the other side of it, I feel like it definitely has helped Moose.
Yeah. Like, I wasn't particularly a fan of it until the finish, where Moose was basically going, "Is this what you wanted? You want a monster? Is this what you wanted?" And just fucking kills EC3.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's continued this attitude, I think it's the best. It's the best that Moose has done. Best thing Moose has done in years. Yeah,
because to be honest, he has not done much great in Impact his entire run.
No, the last time I felt that strongly about Moose, we was in ROH.
Yeah,
that's when he was the big up and comer.
Yeah, like I actually quite liked Moose in Ring of Honor. I was a kind of in and out fan, but and then the fact that they had his big undefeated streak lose on television. I think it was like to Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, and it was because Vader Scott turned on him.
Yeah, and it was a pure kind of nothing match as well. Yeah. And it was like.
Mm-hmm. But then the story was him trying to get his win back off Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
And there was like a 2-month chase.
Uh-huh.
I think, see how if Moose didn't leave Ring of Honor, he would have been Ring of Honor champion by now.
Oh, easily. I would imagine he'd probably be a 2-time champ by now. This is one of these kind of things. It's obviously as fans, we don't know how much some wrestlers are getting paid or what the situation is and all that, but I don't know. I can't help but feel as if, like, would you rather, like, okay, so this is a kind of question of what would you do if you were Moose? Would you go to Impact knowing that you would maybe end up being like a kind of mid-card? I mean, right, okay, he's won belts. He won the Grand Championship for a period. And then now he's the fake TNA World Champion. Would you go to Impact knowing that was going to be kind of where you were at for like a lot of years, or would you stick around in ROH? Maybe not knowing your future, but arguably you're one of the much bigger guys there, literally and figuratively, as an act and as a human being.
Well, at the time, Impact was considered almost a dead promotion.
Yeah.
So if I was Moose, I would have stuck in ROH with the uncertainty, because
Agreed.
I'd rather be uncertain about something than know something's going to fail. Because that at the time, that was where Impact's projections were. They were shooting down. They were losing TV contract after TV contract, and they were just sort of delving further down. But he's stuck about for the long run in Impact, and I think it's going to serve him in the long run.
Yeah, I think now at this point they're finally willing to put some more stock into this. And as much as I have not enjoyed it, because I haven't, again, I will say it, this TNA World Title thing, like, it has made him more credible. I'll give him that. I've just not enjoyed it. And especially when you start bringing up, EC3, arguably probably my favorite Impact Wrestling wrestler, because I mean I fucking loved EC3 so goddamn much for the ever since the day he walked into Impact until the day he left. I would probably say arguably he was my favorite singles guy, let's say.
Makes sense.
And when you start dangling that carrot of EC3 back in Impact, and then that's what we got at Bound for Glory. Yeah, of course I'm going to have a better taste in my mouth, and apparently EC3 ain't coming back to Impact. That's him done.
I've heard new things now. That
okay.
He's going to work. He's going to go back to Impact, but he's doing he's working at like the old territories.
Okay, yeah, because he is in Ring of Honor,
where he would spend a couple of months in a certain place in the country. Then when his storyline and that's done, he'll move to another place in the country, do something else to sort of keep himself feel special.
That's relevant. That's relevant. Sorry, that's quite awesome.
It's ingenious.
Yeah. Hell, even if he spends 6 months in AEW and then bounces.
Because by the way things are sounding, he's going to be wrestling at Final Battle. Against Jay Briscoe.
Okay.
Like that. Like, I've not been watching Ring of Honor because I completely fell away from it because
I didn't even know when it restarted, to be honest, but I have heard that this pure title tournament has been amazing, and
it's finished.
Yeah, if I can find the time, I might be tempted to go back and watch it. I know who wins.
Yeah. I've sort of been keeping up with like Ring of Honor just by looking at thumbnails of YouTube videos. Not even watching the videos, just looking at the thumbnails.
Yeah.
And I kind of already, and I know what's happening.
I think he has a faction, maybe?
EC3?
EC3? I think so.
I think he's starting one.
Yeah. Because I remember, like, I was talking to one of my other buds recently, and we kind of, like, he doesn't necessarily follow Ring of Honor either, but we were kind of talking about, like, man, does like Ring of Honor just have the worst faction names? And it was like, well, Villain Enterprises isn't that bad. It was like, yeah, but do you remember the Lifeblood? And he went, oh god, the Lifeblood.
Because there's a new one that started, I think, about this time last year. called the Foundation,
Hmm.
and it's like Gresham, Lethal, Rush, and Ryu Lee.
See, that's a good lineup of people.
And I think it's supposed to be like Ring of Honor's version of Los Ingobernables.
Yeah, I think that was kind of meant to be the hook, especially with Rush in it.
Yeah.
Also, you need to say his name correctly. Rush.
I did say Rush.
No, I know. I'm not saying you specifically.
Right.
I just mean people in general, because I remember for the first period of time when I first seen him, I just called him Rush and realised
that's what it looks like.
Yeah, because it is in English, but it's Rush is the pronunciation. So I wasn't saying that because of you. I just mean in general.
I don't worry about it.
Because I used to do it because I used to be ignorant and not know things. But yeah.
With this match with Moose and Mac, it kind of leaves me thinking, though, right? I can see where Moose is going. It's a very clear path, but what does Mac do now? He's just been fucking mauled. I felt the same way about Myers. I was like, right, okay, he's beat Swoggle, and now he's wrestling Crazy Steve.
Crazy Steve.
I think that Impact need to bring back a mid-card belt for some of the wrestlers to have something to do.
Yeah, because I mean, like, a lot of people would say, oh, the X Division titles, the mid-card titles, like, but it kind of isn't, though.
No, I think they need one more belt. Just because there's a lot of wrestlers that have nothing to do. Like, I mean, for example, is it Myers? I think Myers would be a great mid-card champion just now.
Yeah.
And fight people like Mac. You could have him fight like Ace Austin, who wasn't on this show.
Ugh. Which Ace Austin hasn't been on for a good couple of weeks now.
Yeah, it's been Fulton mostly, hasn't it?
I think Austin must have been off this segment of tapings.
Because they did do a live event with another company. I think it's Hornswoggle's company.
Oh yeah.
Where him and Fulton are the tag champs.
Sweet.
And they recently defended the belts.
Yeah, because in fact, now that I think about it, I don't think either of those two have been about since Bound for Glory.
Sounds about right.
So I would imagine that this segment of tapings, they've just not been there.
But they're taping just now.
So maybe they're back.
And these tapings basically cover them until the end of 2020.
I was going to say Hard to Kill. But like, I mean, to be honest, that's not exactly unknown for Impact to be doing shit like that.
Yeah, it's not foreign, but I think with the new administration with Callis and Demure, they're a bit more organised.
Yeah.
And clearly much more creative. Because since they've taken over, there has been a massive jump in quality.
100%, man. Like, Jesus, like, I mean, I can't remember exactly when I started watching TNA properly, but Jesus, like, see that kind of, I mean, and it's really sad to say because this was when Edwards won his first world title, and I was beyond chuffed for him. But that sort of period of time when they had fucking Lashley as well.
Lashley was the fucking daddy in Impact.
I know, which is bonkers why when he came back to WWE was fucking shit again.
Because Vince McMahon just doesn't know what to fucking do anymore.
Hey, well, you know what? Lashley's been giving him one idea for how many years at this point? Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar.
But Brock doesn't want to do it because Brock is the bitch.
Who gives a fuck? Just book it and he will come.
A bitch.
I know. Like, I mean, Jesus, you talk about some wrestlers being marks for themselves. Like, the biggest mark in the industry, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. I like, you hear that story of Lesnar was raging about the fact that he had to wrestle in the performance center in front of nobody, and it's like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to do it because we need that belt off of you.
Yeah.
Which is probably why that match was crap. Yeah, but I don't know. So anyway, you know what? I was gonna say something about Willie Mack, but I'm gonna wait until after this match because it was interesting the way that they lined this match up with the segment afterwards. So
yeah,
I'll get to it after this. So
Moose by referee stoppage, then loses because he didn't stop.
yeah, pretty much like most of this match was Moose working on the neck.
It was the same finish as the match VC3.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I think like, and then again we'll get to this on the quick rundown of Impact, but it was the point where Moose hit the spear, and then was like, nah. So he sort of dived on top of him, started elbowing him square in the face. Like, started with the punches, like, and then started with the elbows. The ref called for the bell. They announced the winner was Moose, but then Moose done it again. So the ref threw him off the second time. It says, I've reversed my decision. The winner is Willie Mack by disqualification. So Moose still has the belt.
I didn't realise that this was for the belt. It wasn't advertised as for the belt,
No,
but the referee held up the belt at the start.
Exactly, yeah. It was not advertised for the belt, and this had a lot of confusion for me during it. And in fact, like, I remember I got halfway through this match, and I was like, is this for the belt? And so I actually backtracked, and then I seen the ref holding up the belt, and it's like, all right, okay, I guess this is for the belt. Because it was not down to be for the belt when we looked at the Wikipedia for the rundown.
Mm-hmm.
And even I said, I don't know if this is for the world title or not, but I guess it was. But even regardless of the outcome, Willie Mack wins by DQ, which means Moose is still the champion. And we say that all to get on to Eddie Edwards goes up to Rich Swann backstage, and Rich Swann, who has been noted very much as being the best friend of Willie Mack, wasn't even watching his bud's match, did not see his pal getting completely beat down. And then Eddie Edwards walks in and is like, oh yeah, see, considering your match tonight with Sami Callihan, you know what, you'll know I'll have your back if Ken Shamrock shows up. So I'll have your back no matter what. Don't worry about it.
Because he has history with both Callihan and Shamrock.
Yeah, but this is the part that I want to get into, is the fact that it kind of feels like unintentionally like Eddie Edwards is trying to, wean in as the best pal while Willie Mack is away.
Well,
So
I think it's maybe came across that way accidentally. Because what I took from it was he hates Sami, he hates Shamrock, so he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that they don't win or start their fucking shit. But the wording was a bit strange.
I mean, yes, potentially, but like, I don't know. Like, you kind of asked, you see what Moose is doing after this, but you don't see what Willie Mack is doing after this, because what I see Willie Mack doing after this is potentially turning heel. And
since you've won that belt, you've dinged me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, remember when we were meant to go for the tag titles and you got injured, and then as soon as you came back, you became world champion, and then like, so what about me? Like, I've always been there for you, but ever since you came back, and then this world title got a hold of you, like, you've never backed me up, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
Mac's first feud when he finally turns heel can be against Eddie Edwards. It's like, I'm going to take out your new best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's completely plausible. I can go along with that. I wouldn't be upset if that happens. It makes sense, which is what I like my wrestling to do sometimes, is make sense.
Sometimes I love it to not make sense as well, but like, yeah, it's like, I mean, if this doesn't happen, it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I do fully agree in the way that Willie Mack is just there. There's not much to do with him. So why not turn him heel now at this point? And then maybe you can build him. In fact, you know what? I might change my my opinion at this point. We kind of talked about Moose versus Rich Swann at Hard to Kill.
Mac
Maybe.
versus...
Yes.
And then save Moose for a bigger payday.
No, what I was going to say was, bearing in mind that they pimped out the fact that they have another Impact Plus exclusive pay-per-view next month.
Yeah,
that's where Mac gets his shot. Rich Swann retains, and then within that span of time, or maybe after the match, Willie Mack turns on Rich Swann, and then boom, Willie Mack versus Rich Swann at Hard to Kill.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, I mean,
after the beating that he took at Turning Point and what happens on Impact, it wouldn't surprise me if Mac's out until 2021 with some sort of kayfabe injury.
January 2020. Roll the footage. I said 2020. I meant 2021. So we move on to the big three matches of the evening, where the Good Brothers took on the North for the Tag Team Championships.
This was another good match. Basically,
this was a fun match.
There was no really bad matches. I mean, I've got my gripes with the Knockouts tag match, but I couldn't tell you it was a bad match.
Mm-hmm.
This is
definitely
really get
the segment, the pay-per-view, where it took it up a notch.
Yeah, this was your headlining portion of the card. I didn't really understand why they done the title switch here and not Bound for Glory. For the Good Brothers, I think it would have maybe felt a bit more special, since as like their
big show,
their biggest show of the year.
Yeah. I mean, agreed. But can't help but feel as if maybe they purely done that because, like, well, one, they needed the belts off the Machine Guns because Shelley was injured, but two, it was also the North that done that. So I think it just kind of makes them look strong by taking the belts for that, and then also it made this much more special by the end. So the quick rundown of the match was the North making quick tags and kept Anderson in the ring for a large period of the match. Big LG finally gets in, hits a bike kick for a 2 count. The North.
Question.
Yes.
In Impact, what does the big LG mean?
I've wondered that ever since the day that he showed up.
Because big LG in WWE was Big Luke Gallows.
But he's Doc Gallows now.
So to me, in Impact, it just sounds like the Big Lug.
Or well, to me, it sounds like Big Large Gallows.
Big Large Gallows. I just need some clarification on the nickname. That would be great. Thank you.
I feel like on the Indies when he done his first run, like back when he was in that Colt Cabana documentary, like it was called like XL LG or something like that. So it's extra large Luke Gallows or something, which also kind of made no sense. But he has so much kind of implications, like, oh, I'm big. Which is one thing you should do if a bear comes up to you is just pretend that you're really big, and it should apparently get frightened and run away.
Or stick a finger up its arse.
Whatever comes first. I mean, I haven't seen the film, but if Leonardo DiCaprio tried that in that movie where he got mauled by a bear, that'd be a very different movie.
See, I've never seen it either, but I always heard that he get raped by a bear.
I've seen this scene because I've seen the scene purely because like everybody goes on about how it's such a masterful thing where it's like it's a one continuous shot, and they're always like, how did they get the other cameras out the way and all that baragara? And it's like it's an incredible scene to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously, I'm watching a scene in a film without any context other than the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio was getting fucking molested by a bear. But nevertheless, so the North hit their double team with strikes and kicks, and then they hit the kind of double team styles clash is what I put it as, because I don't know what else to put it as.
Yeah,
kind of one.
Flapjack.
Yeah, or Cesaro's
neutralizer.
Yes, like a double team neutralizer. I think that's probably the best way to put it down as. They get a close 2 count as Luke Gallows kicks out, and then Carl Anderson comes in. There was a Magic Killer attempt, but Page breaks it up. Then Carl Anderson a bit later on, Carl Anderson hits a gunstone on Alexander, taking the walking weapon out, and then the Good Brothers just hit the Magic Killer out of nowhere, and it's over. We have new tag team champions, the Good Brothers, and I would say the Big LG was in this match for about 3 minutes of the entire runtime. He did not get much offense in. Like, I know, hit us up with some deets. And what did you think about this match overall?
Well, the minute that I seen them go for the Magic Killer, my heart kind of sank a wee bit because I really like the North. They really pulled the tag division up by its bootstraps when Santana and Ortiz left. This was good. Like, as you said, Gallows didn't really do much in the match, but I think that was just the way that they'd done it was more like your proper traditional tag match where the smaller guy gets worked on and then the big guy comes in and clears house. So it worked. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Yeah, I thought that they maybe should have won it at Bound for Glory and not here, but that's just, it is what it is. But with the rumours that Ethan Page is wrapping up soon with Impact, kind of breaks my heart a wee bit.
Maybe that's why they've done the title change.
But if they do split up, I think Alexander's got to do really well on his own.
Oh, well, I think, did I have a note here? I feel like I had a note, or at least a thought of, if the North split up, who would have been the better of the two to, like, go on and, like, have, like, like, a lot of success, whether it be here in Impact or anywhere else. But obviously, as you've now kind of mentioned, the fact that you think that, or you've heard that Ethan Page might be leaving soon, I guess that kind of question takes on a whole new meaning. But if they were to split up, where do you think they're going to go, and who do you think is going to work out better?
That's a tricky question because I think both will do very well.
Yeah.
It all just depends on what happens. Like, this could be bullshit with Ethan Page leaving Impact, but on his Twitter he is counting down towards something. So I don't know if that's maybe him counting down his Impact contract, or they're counting down to maybe expanding the North, or I don't know. But if they do split up and he does leave and he does go elsewhere, I think he'll be successful because he's got a good gob in him.
Oh yeah.
And
literally and figuratively, he's a very handsome gentleman. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't have any problem saying that. And plus, especially since he is in some incredible shape right now. Like, Jesus Christ. Anytime that I've known Ethan Page has been like, he's been yeah, he's been chubby but athletic. But ever since Bound for Glory, all of a sudden he's became a fucking skinny lean mini.
Oh, he's buff as fuck.
Yeah, it looks incredible these days. And I would not be surprised if like fucking AEW or WWE will literally be in a fucking war of money over that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It will be interesting though, considering the fact that he does have his own promotion. I don't think they're running right now because of the whole vid thing. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that after.
Maybe even leaving to focus more on his own thing. Like, just because he's leaving doesn't mean that he's going to a rival promotion.
I mean, true, but like this is always the first speculation, though, isn't it? The second that you hear a wrestler's leaving a promotion, you instantly think, "Oh, where are they going to go next?" I mean, they could potentially just be like, "I've had enough," and then just retire.
Or just go, "I'm taking some time off. I'm just chill."
I mean, even recently, Jesus, I've seen tweets of David Richards posting like photos of him in the mirror looking again buff AF, and kind of implying that he may be coming back to wrestling again soon.
Well, his missus is tearing it up in Ring of Honor, but she's just been suspended.
Oh great, what'd she do? Oh, kayfabe.
Yeah, her and Mandy Leon assaulted a backstage interviewer, done the whole sort of beautiful people thing, like drawing makeup on her and lipstick. But Davey Richards, he's a fucking weird one.
In what way?
He takes himself far too seriously. Like, he's a good wrestler, but I just don't like him.
Yeah, again, this is another one of these weird things where you need to kind of separate the person from the wrestler, don't you?
Yeah.
I know it's kind of weird, but I guess we'll see what happens with that. I mean, if Davey comes back and the Wills get back together, that would be fucking awesome.
Let's get fucking Eddie away from this fucking weird neon Sandman gimmick that he has.
Yeah.
Like, I like Eddie, but I don't like this Eddie.
Yeah, agreed. Like, the most exciting thing that I think could happen, like, I mean, like, Jesus, I love Eddie Edwards. Like, when we were watching the pay-per-view together, and he won the belt, like I was fucking ecstatic, and I was like, and then at the same time, as soon as that happened, I was like, because I was like, yeah, but Ace Austin should have won.
Yeah, we both.
We cut backstage. Jordan Grace was looking for Tennille Dashwood, banging on her door, and then Dashwood and Caleb with a K walk up behind her. Grace turns around and says, "Oh, you're the worst." And Dashwood was like, "Well, technically, you're the worst because you lost the match." And and also you lost this, and then threw Jordan Grace's hair extension at her. And then Alicia walks up and she's like, yeah, I've tagged with Jordan Grace before as well. I think you should call her Jordan Disgrace. And they're like, you're actually quite funny. And then, so Dashwood's kind of like, well, an enemy of an enemy is my friend. And Alicia was like, so are we friends? And she's like, more like tag partners. And so, Lish walks away and she starts singing that whole Tania wants to be like me. Tania wants to be like me. And I'm gonna bring this up to you because like I think we've been in the camp of we hate fucking Alicia S. Edwards. But I gotta say, like this whole kind of stupid little gimmick she's been running for these past couple of weeks with the whole that wants to be like me, like I think that's kinda cute.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I just think that Alicia's just going to be one of those wrestlers that I just don't like.
Fair.
She could have a banger of a match and I'd still say she was shite.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of one of those things where it's like she's done something that's been very slightly endearing to us, and now it's like, well, you know what? It's better than what you've been doing, so.
Yeah, I'm not giving her any sort of praise here.
Fair. So we get into our semi-main event of Su Yung defending the Knockouts Championship against Deanna Purrazzo for the Knockouts Championship, as I just said.
This was the match that Fightful gave spoilers for.
Pants.
Like 3 matches before the match was on.
Punch them in the face.
Oh, they're fucking idiots.
I know.
Because, I mean, it's not as if MD can actually, like, spoilers are sort of like a thing of the past just now because, especially with Impact, there's no audience.
Yeah.
So there's no one there to report what happens on the tapings.
I know, like, literally. How did that even come out?
Yeah, so this one just really, like, came out of the fucking blue.